Okay. Well, hello everybody. Thank you all so much for making it out today. I'm super excited to share more about Ramadan with RHA with all of you. So before I jump into it, I thought I would give you a little bit of background about who I am. My name is Chase Capello. I am the program creator. I studied communications and event planning at Missouri State University Springfield, and I served 4 years on the RHA executive board. I served 1 year as the advocacy and service coordinator, where I started our period project, which provides free feminine hygiene products to students in the residence halls on campus. And I spent 3 years as the programming coordinator, where I started Ramadan with RHA. Outside of work, I love making Spotify playlists and eating weird cheeses. So before we jump into it, I thought I would give a recap of what Ramadan with RHA actually is. So Ramadan with RHA is an educational program that was designed to increase cultural competence and connect students with our dining services. This is a cultural dinner featuring presentations that highlight how students can request dietary accommodations or learn more about both Islam and Ramadan. This was a collaborative effort between our Residence Hall Association, our Muslim Student Association, Southeast Asian Student Association, and our Dining Services team. So for the program origination, I was actually inspired at NACURH 2023, hosted by Ball State University. I attended a programming workshop where I believe it was an advisor from Ohio State University had us engage in a swap shop where we were talking about different ideas and things that worked for our own university. And another institution shared that they did a Ramadan dinner, and it was more catered towards increasing cultural competence. But I was inspired by my former roommate, who was an international student from Kyrgyzstan who had difficulty finding protein in Springfield, like both on and off campus. And I assessed her student need, and I realized we could do a Ramadan dinner while also helping bridge that gap between our international student population and our dining services to make their lives easier. So I was able to coordinate with dining services and our Muslim Student Association upon learning about the large-scale student need for accessible halal proteins. So for more student need, so sophomore year, I actually took a group of international students to Chicago, which really emphasized the need for halal proteins and the connection between our international students and dining services. I took this car, these lovely ladies in the picture, I took them all out to Chicago, and as we stopped in St. Louis as our halfway point, the girl in the back seat unfall, she was like, "Can we please stop somewhere with halal meat? I have not had any since I got to Springfield in August." And I was like, "What do you mean you haven't had any meat at all since you've gotten here?" And she said that she was unable to locate any halal meat on campus or off campus and that she was just craving chicken. And that was kind of a light bulb moment for me where I realized as a student leader with a platform that I could help bridge that gap. So for our program goals, we had 3 major ones. We had that we would like to highlight the campus dining resources available for students during Ramadan. It wasn't that our dining facilities were not offering opportunities. It's that if they were not very well marketed. Or we knew that we could improve it because as our international student population is constantly changing each semester, each year, they don't really know where to look. And if you have to like seek out the information and it's not there right in front of you being reposted when the seasons hit, you're not going to know about it. We also wanted to create a relationship between RHA, the Muslim Student Association, and our dining services team, and we wanted to foster cultural competence through presentations that educate students over the difference between Ramadan and Islam to ensure that every student, no matter where they're at on the spectrum, they had something that they could take away from this program. So I've touched on this a little bit, but for the student need category, there were not many, if any, halal options in the Springfield area. And like I previously mentioned, dining services offered some, but they used to be advertised not as well as they are now, and I believe that they were only offered during Ramadan. Late night dining, also we have dining from 7 to 9 p.m. on our campus, and that would be the prime time for students observing Ramadan to eat. They didn't offer accessible high protein options that students observing Ramadan needed to sustain themselves while fasting. Our international student population, like many other universities, is constantly changing, so having an annual event like this to connect students who rely on campus resources with dining services is extremely important. Many of our newer students didn't know how to contact our dining services team to navigate dietary restrictions and needs or ask questions. So something that I kind of wanted to touch on, just in case you're not familiar, is what is halal meat? I know I've mentioned it probably 50 times so far in the first 10 minutes, but halal meat, it's derived from the Arabic word meaning permissible, and it refers to meat that is slaughtered according to Islamic law. This involves a specific process where a Muslim person slaughters a healthy animal while invoking the name of God, and the animal's blood is drained. Halal meat must also be free from certain prohibited substances and processed in accordance with Islamic dietary laws. So for our educational components, we had presentations from our dining services team. They covered things like how to request meals if you have dietary accommodations and how to request takeout meals if you're fasting during Ramadan. Our presentations from the Muslim Student Association covered the significance of Islam in Ramadan, and this presentation helped us open up the event to a larger demographic of students and increase cultural competence. At the end, we did have a Kahoot that covered both presentations, and it encouraged students to really lock in and retain the importance of the information we were sharing. So I'm now going to go through some of the highlighted slides from both our dining services presentation and our Muslim Student Association presentation, just so you can get a feel for what the students at the event were able to witness. So for Ramadan meals, this is dining services breaking down how you can access those prepackaged Ramadan meals. They were available for pickup through March 29th, and they have reheat instructions for students to utilize. Our Garth Dining Center, which does the late night options, is closed over the weekends. And Blair Shannon, our alternative dining hall that's open 7 days a week, they will offer the meals on Saturday and Sunday instead. And this year, we also made it super easy where you could just swipe in and get the meal instead of having to request one a week in advance or a few days in advance. You can just go in that day, swipe your card, let them know what you need, and they'll provide it for you. They also talked about special dietary needs. So even if you were a student who's maybe not needing to find accessible meals during Ramadan, but you're just having a hard time navigating the dining center as a freshman or a transfer student, this helps with that a lot. So we're now able to place mobile orders from the Delicious Without Ghost Kitchen. Our Delicious Without is pretty simple. I feel like it avoids all of the 7 major allergens. So like tree nuts, dairy, gluten, all that good stuff. Heights offers food made without the 9 major allergens on their Pure Eats line, and the kitchen line at Blair Shannon always serves a meat option, a vegetarian option, and a plethora of vegetarian and vegan options. And they provided these QR codes for you to access those requests. I really like this one. So this slide, it shows all of our dining staff, and I found it important because it made them a bit more approachable, like you're kind of putting a face to the name. So now I can look at this graphic and I know I live in Blair Shannon, so I'm going to go to the Blair Shannon Dining Hall. I now know who I can approach with questions if I have them. And I believe we have these posted in our dining halls as well for those who are not, who did not attend Ramadan with RHA or maybe weren't on social media to see this. So that makes that a bit more approachable as well. So now I'm going to hop into the Muslim Student Association presentation highlights as well. So during their presentations, they taught students about what Islam and Ramadan are. So Islam is the acceptance and obedience to the teachings of God, which he revealed to his last prophet, Muhammad. Islam is the religion, and a Muslim is a follower. The Quran is the holy book, and approximately 1.9 billion Muslims worldwide. So there are 5 pillars of Islam, and they talk more about these in the slides as well. There's Shahada, which is the declaration of faith, Salah, which is the obligatory prayers, Zakat, which is almsgiving, Hajj, which is the pilgrimage, and Psalm, which is fasting during Ramadan. So they then go to do the differentiation of what Ramadan is. So this is the 9th month in the Islamic calendar. It's based on the cycles of the moon, and the start of Ramadan is determined by sighting of the crescent moon, typically on the 29th. the month the Quran was first revealed to the Prophet Muhammad, and it's a period of fasting and virtue from sunrise to sunset. So there are some do's and don'ts of Ramadan. So you won't want to consume food while the sun is up. You don't drink water while the sun is up. You will not smoke and you will not engage in sinful habits, but you will engage in more prayer, supplication, you'll read the Quran more, and you will give charity. So there are some exemptions. So children, elderly, the sick, pregnant women, and travelers are not expected to observe, and they can make up their time later, or if unable, they can feed the poor or engage in more charity work. So, sharing moment, if anyone wanted to engage, was there anything that stuck out to you when learning about Ramadan? You could drop it in the chat or you can unmute. I don't know if you have the ability to do that.
Yep, if people would like to unmute, they should just hit the raise hand button and we can unmute them to speak.
Well, that's okay too. I hope something stuck out to you and that you learned something. I know it can be intimidating to speak up during a Zoom call with a lot of people in it. So we'll move to the next slide. So for our attendance highlight, we had an amazing turnout for this event. We had over 300 students. Our attendees, they were a mix of members from the Muslim Student Association, our Southeast Asia Student Association, our Residence Hall Association, and other involved students who lived on campus. We also had a large portion of students from various history and religious studies courses because I was sending out mass emails to professors. So our marketing and outreach, I think the success of this event goes hand in hand with our strong marketing and outreach strategies. Some of the tactics that I utilized were social media promotion, Instagram, Snapchat stories. Snapchat stories are a big one. I know that I kind of swept these under the rug for a while, but there's the class of like 2025 stories, and they get like over thousands of views a day. So you can definitely pull a few people from those. Instagram is important because it always stays there. It's permanently on your feed and students can refer back to it. We also had publicity in our residence halls. I printed a flyer for every floor, and then I also had them in the lobbies. I also had them in other buildings on campus, like our student union. I had them on the televisions there. I had them on the televisions in the dining hall. I also sent a ton of emails. I actually emailed every department head, professor, and student organization on campus that seemed like they would be even remotely interested in this event. So when creating and implementing a strong educational program like this, I recommend taking advantage of your campus connections. For our email highlights, I explained the logistics of the program, emphasized the importance of the event, and I asked professors to offer extra credit if students attended, which was very, very successful. I went through our Bear link, and that's where I found most of our connections. I also went through the staff directory on our university website, and I kind of made a long compiled list. I put them into sections, and based on whether they were professors, students, student organizations, I tweaked the email template that I was using to correspond with where they fit on that spectrum. And if you're interested in scanning that QR code, you can view the email template that I utilized. So for our social media promotion, Instagram is what worked best for our campus, but I also like to utilize the Missouri State Snapchat group on the day of any event for just one last push. These are the flyers from 2024. We were very fortunate to have a graphic design major on the board with us, and this is what he came up with. I really like that we featured what the menu was for students. This was actually a very unique aspect of the program is our Muslim Student Association Executive Board had the opportunity to provide feedback to dining services and share what meals they missed most from home and the nostalgic ties they'd like to experience during this event, and we were able to offer some of those for them. So some of the challenges, this was a beautiful challenge to have, if I'm being honest, but more people attended the event than we had anticipated. So we organized and catered for 150, but we had an attendance of over 300. And for future years, we plan to cater for 200 to 250 based on the previous attendance records. We'll also put out surveys gauging interest, but we don't plan to enforce an RSVP system. I feel like that would make this program less accessible when the entire goal of the program is to increase accessibility and provide students with essential resources that they need to thrive on campus. So another challenge is there was not a microphone available for presenters to be easily heard. This year we were able to reserve 2 microphones and a speaker to utilize during the event though. The first year when that was an issue, we accidentally got double booked. And I think another segue or way that we'll approach the issue is we were thinking about buying our own sound system moving forward. We also had limited space, so we held and will continue to hold this event in our Garst Dining Center because it's important to show students where they can receive their late night dining options during Ramadan. But this year we were able to add 50 more seats in the space, which made plenty of extra space for attendees. It can just be a bit cramped in the small side of the dining hall where we presented. So the successes, they highly outweigh the challenges that we encountered. So we had a drastic increase in students utilizing resources that were promoted at the events, according to MSU Dining Services. Strong connections were fostered between students who observe Ramadan and dining services, students who need dietary accommodations and dining services, and RHA, the Muslim Student Association, and dining services, as we will continue to do this event together every year. We were also able to increase cultural competence among the student body. Many students who do not observe Ramadan attended to learn more about Ramadan and Islam, and we were able to create a strong annual program that helps connect students with important resources. So the biggest win is that Missouri State University now proudly offers halal meat in our dining halls year-round in every dining facility. Prior to Ramadan with RHA, we did not have halal options available year-round for our students to enjoy. So this program not only helped us bring halal options to campus permanently, but also emphasized the importance of marketing that we have them as well. For example, right here, our newest dining center, or our newest redesigned dining center, I should say, is Garst, and it used to be buffet style, but it's now concept, so you can go up to one station, and there's like a Greek concept, there's a Mexican concept, there's a chicken finger station, but they have menus like this, and on each of them, they have a little thing highlighting what on their menu is halal. So that has definitely made that more accessible. Students don't need to constantly be going out of their way to ask because the signage is correct and helpful in them guiding their decisions. Here are 2 more signs. We have our barbecue station. At the bottom it said our shredded chicken is certified halal, and on the Mexican concept it says our chicken tinga is certified halal. So additional information about dining services, I think it's important to mention that our residence life and dining services are connected under one department. Our campus works with Chartwells. So we had a pre-existing relationship with our dining services team, which definitely made this transition and this planning process a lot easier. In October of 2023, I was also one of 2 students within the department to help reconceptualize our Garst dining hall. The new Garst concept, local to-go stations, it was inspired by the University of Arkansas, and they took us on a field trip out there to it was really cool actually. I felt like I was at a mall food court. We were able to sample all of the different stations they had and take notes back to our dining hall and figure out how we could create a more accessible experience for our students. Like I previously mentioned, Garst was buffet style, so we wanted to diversify the dining experience that we offer to students by providing these to-go options and these local stations. So how can my institution create and implement a program like Ramadan with RHA? I'm so glad that you asked. So step 1, you need to identify student need. You'll need to interact with students to figure out what is important to them and what kind of challenges they'd like to see on your campus. This can be carried out through one-on-one conversations or surveys. You can also reflect on your own experiences. Are there any areas of campus you'd like to see positively change? For me, this was a lot easier. I was a junior when I had the idea for this program, and my sophomore year was when I had my international roommate, and I was constantly interacting with other international students who are having issues accessing halal proteins and other foods that fit their dietary accommodations. And I was able to apply that experience to the position that I was in. And I had also served, I was in my third year on the RHA executive board, so I kind of understood the ins and outs of who I needed to talk to make positive change happen. But also, you'll need to create a goal regarding the need that you would like to address. So when setting a goal, create a detailed goal regarding the need that you'd like to address that can help guide your advocacy. So for Ramadan with RHA, my goals were to increase communication between students who need dining accommodations and our dining services team, and push for high protein options that international students can rely on. Upon establishing your detailed goal, you'll create a list of potential campus and community partners that can help you reach said goal. You'll then want to conceptualize and communicate. Once you have your list of potential collaborators, create a detailed document that outlines your program or initiative. This document should outline your expectations or ideas for their potential involvement, which is extremely important when you are co-programming because it can be very easy for small details to slip under the rug. You'll then distribute the document with your goals and ask to schedule an in-person meeting to discuss further if they're interested in collaborating. So if you want to scan this QR code, you can view my first Ramadan with RHA program proposal that I emailed out to our dining services team and our Muslim Student Association. So for program development, now that you have a foundation, you'll want to figure out how the various organizations or departments you're collaborating with will contribute to your project. You should establish an in-person meeting to sort out logistics and give everyone an opportunity to share their ideas for bettering the project. So, for example, while I did share a document outlining my ideas and goals, I made it very clear that everything was subject to change. I think that more voices equal more ideas, and it's important to be open to new ideas and perspectives that can strengthen your original idea. And in addition to that, I do not observe Ramadan. I did not personally have issues accessing food on campus, so I wanted to make sure that the student leaders who did experience those issues were the ones really navigating and leading that conversation. I was just the idea guy. So when developing your program or initiative, this kind of touches on what I was saying before, make sure you have students in the room who represent the issue you're trying to address. Let them guide the discussion and express what they think would work best. So like I said, I was making sure that I amplified the Muslim Student Association executives' voices and amplifying their ideas, and making sure that it was executed in how they deemed best. Something else to consider is how your Residence Hall Association or NRHH can contribute to this project in ways other organizations may not be able to. Like, do you have more financial resources? Do you have a large team to help execute your ideas? Do you have a large social media following for outreach? Or does your organization already have pre-existing relationships with specific departments that can help you carry out the idea at hand? So for step 5, finalizing your program details, you'll want to establish a set date and time for your program or initiative. Some important questions to ask are, does the team need to meet in the weeks leading up to the event to work on decorations or miscellaneous items? What specific tasks need to be completed before the event and who is executing what? When does each task need to be completed by? And how early should everyone arrive on the day of for setup? You'll also want to finalize publicity so the involved parties can help with promotion. So once the details are sorted and publicity is ready, you'll need to start emailing the appropriate student organizations and academic departments, the faculty and staff members to help promote the event. The email template I shared with you all earlier made it insanely easy to contact my desired partners. I would recommend personalizing each one though with their name at the beginning. It takes a bit more time, but it makes it feel more personal. I think I mentioned I had 3 templates that I was utilizing, and I would just copy and paste their name into the dear blank. And then I would finish it, or I would put another one in the, like 2 paragraphs down, I would mention your department or your club organization or whatever, just so they didn't feel like it was not as personal. So you'll also want to distribute your posters to residence halls and academic buildings on campus. So for social media outreach, you should encourage all participating student organizations, departments, and community organizations to distribute the publicity on their social media. You should ask professors to promote the event or initiative to their students if applicable, and you should start at least 2 weeks before the event so students have time to plan accordingly. The further in advance, the better. You can always post reminders closer to the event. But when I was sending out my mass emails, I sent them the social media publicity and I even gave them a sample caption where I was like, okay, it'll take you 3 clicks to help us share this, or you can accept the be a collaborator on the post button, whatever worked best for them. So step 7, and the most fun, arguably, is executing the event. So ensure that all involved participants know what time to arrive for setup. Create a list of tasks that need to be completed before doors open. Ideally, let people choose what tasks they complete. It's not hard to make a list of everything and then have people sign their name off if they want to do balloons, or if they don't want to do balloons and you make them do the balloon arch and they resent you for the rest of the night. Not fun, don't do that. Let them pick what they get to do for setup. You should also test any technology that you might be utilizing to make sure that it works, and communicate with event volunteers to ensure they know their role during the event. So also make sure someone is taking photos or documenting the function. I know I've definitely planned events in the past where I was kicking myself for not designating a specific person for photos, but thankfully for this program, we didn't have that issue. And most importantly, enjoy the event because you pour so much time and energy into it. Make sure you soak it all in. So recapping Ramadan with RHA. So for our student involvement, this program was conceptualized and executed by student leaders on campus. We had multiple student organizations participating in the Ramadan program, including our Residence Hall Association, Muslim Student Association, Southeast Asian Student Association, and volunteers from our Multicultural Resource Center, and also student employees within dining services. Our menu for the evening was requested by the Muslim Student Association Executive Board members. I asked them what foods they miss from back home most, and our head chef helped bring those recipes to life. We had over 30 students help volunteer either behind the scenes, sorting details, or sitting in meetings, and some were able to show up on the day of to help set up the event and decorate. On the day of the event, student leaders from the Muslim Student Association and dining services also gave presentations. So our budget and supplies recap. For this program, the majority of our budget went towards food. We purchased meal vouchers and provided them all to event attendees to ensure anyone that wanted to attend the event would be able to. The first year we implemented the program, we spent far more on decorations than the second year because we purchased sustainable decorations that can continue to be used in the future. So for our campus resources, this program was hosted in our Gar's Dining Center because that is where students can access late night dining and to-go options during Ramadan. Our dining services team served the meal requested by MSA executive board members, and RHA utilized their budget to fund the decorations and free meals for students who wish to attend the event. Because you're not able to access our dining centers without swiping in or paying for a meal, we didn't want that to get in the way of students accessing this important information that could help them find food throughout the year. So recapping the successes of Ramadan with RHA. So this program connected students with dining services and taught them how to request dietary accommodations. It increased cultural competence among attendees through presentations covering Islam and Ramadan. Strong relationships were created between our Residence Hall Association, Muslim Student Association, and Dining Services team. And organized advocacy efforts resulted in permanent halal options in our on-campus dining facilities. So actually, we'll skip this interactive QR code, I think. So if you would like any more resources, please contact me. I'd be happy to share all of my documents with you and answer any questions that you may have. My email, phone number, and Instagram are listed right here. Just shoot me a text. I'm pretty quick. I have my notifications on for everything now. Huge ups. But yeah, besides that, does anybody have any questions or things that they would like to share now while we're here on Zoom together? Beautiful. Well, I'll take that as a crisp. Everybody is doing good, and they'll send me an email later if they'd like information. So, thank you all so much for coming out today. I'm so happy that you were here to learn more about Ramadan with RHA, and I'm hoping that you were able to take something away for your own institution, whether it be doing this program over again and creating accessible dining options, or just copy and pasting the format and assessing a student need that your campus has that's unique.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Chase, for this presentation. I think you gave the audience great insight on collaborating across campus, which is something that I think sometimes people don't realize that kind of that can strengthen their impact. So thank you for sharing that and also creating programming to just create a more inclusive campus for students, for staff who observe Ramadan. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. On behalf of ACUHO, thank you for taking time to present. Everyone who's attending this session has been recorded. So if you'd like to go back and take a look at this, reach out to Chase. You'll be able to access that on our ACUHO YouTube channel. So go back there if you'd like to see it. But yeah, thank you so much again, Chase. And everyone who's here, please join me in giving Chase a round of applause again. Thank you.